So are you a newbie in real estate investing, or maybe you're just wondering what this bozo on YouTube has to say are the rules of investing in real estate? Well, in today's video, I'm going to be going over 5 good rules to follow when you're first getting into this and my experience of the past 4 years of owning rental properties and see how you can learn from some of my mistakes. Hi, and welcome to my channel. My name is Shane Moynihan. I'm a real estate agent and investor based out of Keene, New Hampshire. So if you're in the area looking to buy, sell, invest, or maybe you even just have questions about real estate investing, please feel free to reach out. Contact info here, of course, and down below. But that's enough about me, so let's dive right into this topic. So before we begin, just a quick little breakdown in history about me. I'm a 24-year-old investor that has 4 total units spread between 2 duplexes. Both of these I have house hacked. So I actually just recently picked this one up about 4 to 6 months ago. And I am currently on the second of the house hacks. I've been a student, reading, learning, consuming all the content about real estate investing since I was about 18 or 19. Jumped into my first property when I was 20 years old. And again, now I'm 24. So I have about 4 years experience in this. And I'll be going over kind of the rules that I was following from what I've learned over the years of reading and learning, and also just my personal experience and kind of things that you should probably want to avoid. All right, so let's dive in. Rule number 1 out of the 5 rules of rental real estate investing. The property must cash flow or have value add. And what this means is, 1, easy, cash flow. You want the property to actually make money, because if it doesn't, well, why are you even looking at investing in it? Because it's not really an investment if it's not getting you a return on your down payment and your investment. So make sure that it actually makes some money and it makes sense to be holding this house and renting it out and dealing with all this stuff. And the other part is the value add. And this is something like, okay, when you're looking at property, maybe it's only looking like your cash flow is a couple $100, $200-300 a month. The value add there is, you know, your local market and you've done your research and know what rents are. So maybe you're looking at a triplex and the rents are, each unit is $200 below market value. So you know, once you purchase the property, even though it's cash flowing a couple $100 now, you'll be able to, in time, raise those rents up to market value and then create an extra $500, $600, $700 a month on top of what you were already cash flowing when you purchased the property. So that is where the value add can come in. Another situation with this is rental rates are below market, but maybe when you want to buy the house, you want to evict the tenants and actually redo the house to make it a nicer rental for more people to come in and enjoy, because a lot of rental properties are usually run down because a lot of these landlords will buy them 20-30 years ago and fix things that need fixing, but never actually update and keep the property looking like it should, new, and for people to actually enjoy. So again, buy something that cash flows or something that you can have value add in. And this could also be something that just has a lot of equity in it and you know it's a good purchase, and maybe you're not too worried about cash flow, you just want a safe spot to store your money. But have those 3 things, either equity, cash flow, or value add. Rule number 2 out of 5. Again, these aren't in any order. They're just kind of how I listed them down. So rule number 2 is, don't fall in love with the property. And this should really be just rule for whatever you're looking to purchase in your life. Don't fall in love with it, because if you fall in love with it, you're going to overlook some probably pretty obvious downsides to whatever the thing that you want to purchase may be. So if you're looking at rental real estate, maybe you love the location, but you completely overlook that the house is falling apart. Or maybe you're looking to house hack like I did with my first couple, and you think, oh my God, this kitchen is perfect. Okay, well, does the kitchen actually make the house cash flow, or do you just like the kitchen? This is a business. This is you trying to make money and actually have a return on investment. If you want a great kitchen and all that, have at it. But it might just not make sense for an investment. Maybe get a single family, or just say, hey, I know this isn't a great investment, but at least if I buy a 2 to 3 unit, something along those lines, it can help offset my mortgage. But the biggest thing is, just don't fall in love with it, because you're going to overlook things that probably are the downside. And this is one of the things that I've experienced myself, especially when I first started looking at this. I was running all types of numbers on every property that was available where I invest. And I was trying to get into anything I could, looking at the numbers, being like, oh, well, this one cash flow is great. Okay, well, did you overlook that it needs X amount in new vinyl siding, or needs a brand new roof, or the heat needs to be upgraded, any of those types of things that could be major expenses? But it's like, yeah, but it cash flows right now. Okay, well, maybe it does cash flow right now, but are you taking into account the $30,000 worth of work that the property needs? That is where you kind of got to start learning your numbers and learning a little bit more about the whole real estate investing game and the expenses that come along with this game. Rule number 3, this should be pretty obvious, but think long term. And the reason being is if you're investing in multifamilies in that type of situation, chances are you're a buy and hold investor. Listen right there, buy and hold. So you want to be actually looking for the future and looking at, maybe this is a new up and coming neighborhood, or you know that the property isn't great right now, but over the next 5 years you'll improve X, X, and X, maybe the kitchen, the heat, something like that, where you have a plan to put the value add into the property and you know it's going to be worth more down the road. When you're buy and hold investor, you don't really want to be buying a property and then be like, oh, well, I have to move out of the area and I don't want to hold an out of state property, so let's just kind of flip it and move it on to the next person. Well, chances are, depending on your timeline, you're probably going to lose money just because of the cost of doing business and actually buying and selling a property. Now, of course, this is different if you're an investor where you do fix and flips. This is your goal, is to fix up a house and flip it to get your money. So that, of course, is a different type of investing. But if you're a buy and hold investor, think long term. Look down the road more than 2 years. Look down 5, 10 years. Where is the neighborhood going? Where is the location that you're in? Is it actually expanding, getting job growth, all this type of stuff? So with the whole think long-term play, you want to try to get a fixed rate mortgage. And the reason being is it's just easier to run your numbers and expect what your expenses are going to be in the future. Of course, you can refinance or sell the property or whatever happens down the road, but at least when you jump in with that fixed rate, you know that you're not working off an adjustable rate mortgage where, yeah, you might buy it at a 3.5% rate, and then within the next 4 years, it's going to go from a 3.5% rate up a couple points, maybe to a 5.5%, and then it kind of messes up with your numbers. So try to get a fixed rate, especially for your first couple, so you know what you're doing and kind of learning the ropes. All right, next up, rule number 4. This one I read a ton in books, and it's do not rent to friends or become friends with your tenants. This is something that I had personal experience with. I rented to a friend. I had a spare bedroom. He really needed a place to live. So I said, hey, come on over, rent the room. Turns out that some friendships should just be friendships, and still I'm friends with the kid today, but it was just kind of awkward. He was there for about a year, fell behind in rent, and then it was just, we were seeing each other every day. We both knew the situation. It just kind of made the friendship a little awkward. So it's a lot harder to be asking for the money from your friend or a tenant you like than someone that is just strictly business. It's I supply you housing, you supply me payment for that housing. Very simple, cut and dry. When you bring friends or family into this, it gets a little dicey, gets a little choppy. And when they miss a rent payment, guess what? You don't want to be Mr. Bad Guy saying, hey, look, you owe me money. Like, come on. Because, well, chances are they're like, well, you own this house, so you can't be doing that bad. Don't look at it like that. This is a business. You need a place to live. Yes or no? Yes. Okay. So you pay for a place to live. That's kind of how this works. So avoid this at all costs. You're going to learn it in just about everything you consume about real estate investing. You're going to learn it in every book you read about real estate investing, but put it into practice. Do not rent friends or family. And rule number 5, see the big picture. And this is just kind of, when you're first getting into real estate investing, you want to actually get educated enough where you can specify what type of property you are looking for, what parameters that property needs to have. So when you're doing all this research and figuring out what works for you, look at your local market, see what the rental rates are, see what the cash flow for most of these houses are, and then set your parameters to that and don't budge. Because again, like rule number 3, this is a buy and hold type thing. This is a long-term play. So what you want to do is you want to actually have your set parameters and look for that building. It might take some time. Be patient. Again, this is something I had issues on when I first started looking. I was like, oh, this one looks good. I don't want to miss this opportunity. Well, guess what? When you're first coming into this, you can't buy every deal. So you really want to be pretty strict on what you're setting so you know that you make a good purchase and you don't regret it down the road. And this is also a situation where it fits into really know your local market, know what you're investing in, and kind of ignore some of those big headlines that you might see about crash here, this isn't going well, rates on rents are going up in this area and going down over here. And a lot of those national headlines, they might, like, if you're in a bigger city, they might more apply to you. But me, I'm in a small town in New Hampshire. It's really not the same type of situation. So pay attention to your local market, stay up to date with stuff happening in that, and kind of play off what you're actually learning in those situations. So those are my 5 rules for rental real estate investing. And let me know what you think down below in the comments. If you have any rules that you love to follow that I didn't mention or maybe just forgot to put on the list, put them down in the comments. I'd love to see what your guys' rules of your real estate investing game are. And of course, as a real estate investor, I love real estate just as a whole, and I love everything about it. And everyone starts a real estate investing career somewhere. So chances are, if you're like most of the people that are ready to jump into real estate investing, you've consumed so much content, you've read so many books, you've looked at so many properties, ran the numbers, and you're almost in that analysis paralysis type situation. At a certain point, you just have to dive in. I know it can be a little scary. I know it can be a little weird. You're like, well, I don't know if I'm ready to be a landlord. Trust me, I felt that. I was 20 years old when I bought my first rental property. And of course, the day of closing, I had to go meet the tenant. Well, she was a very nice lady, but she was probably at least 40 years older than me. So it feels kind of awkward at first putting that in because you're such a young person speaking with an older person. I had one where I was trying to fill a vacancy. I was probably 20, 21 at the time. And the guy that came in to look at the apartment was like, oh, how'd you get stuck with showing apartments? I was like, what do you mean? He's like, does your dad make you like do the showings and stuff and then you report back to him? I was like, no, I own this place. He's like, oh. I don't think he liked the idea of renting from someone that was as young as I was. Nothing ever happened with that guy. But it's definitely something that you come across, especially in this game when you're a young investor. People kind of look at you a little different, which is okay. But you got to dive in somewhere. And guess what? When I'm 30 years old, I already have 10 years experience in this. So that's a good way to look at it. But before you go, please hit that like button and subscribe button as I release these weekly videos that are real estate related content and market related content. And I hope they have been providing some value. And if you have any ideas of stuff that you might like to learn about or have questions about, drop those in the comments. Maybe I'll make them a YouTube video. But until next time.